The Meta Quest 3, a standalone virtual reality headset that promises to bridge our physical reality with a virtual one. It's pitched as the pinnacle of consumer VR experiences in 2023, a pillar of innovation for mobile gaming, interactive leisure and media consumption, remote work, and much, much more. But who is this jack of all trades really for, and does it live up to the hype? Let's crack open the box and find out. As you lift the lid, you're immediately met with the sleek headset, complete with the standard cloth head strap and face pad pre-installed. Two MetaQuest Touch Plus controllers, each thoughtfully equipped with a AA battery and wrist strap for safety, an 18-watt power adapter with a visually appealing but unpractical cylindrical design, and a USB-C cable for charging the headset. The headset's white body, accented with black, glass-like stacks, give it a futuristic, cyberpunk aesthetic. The Quest 3's frame and panels are crafted from plastic, and the areas that need to be feel reinforced. But while it feels premium in the hands, the internal components and housing seem too fragile to survive a drop of any meaningful distance. On the faceplate, you'll find 4 cameras arranged in 2 vertical stacks. 2 infrared cameras handle spatial and positional tracking, and 2 4-megapixel RGB pass-through cameras are your windows to the world, allowing you to see your surroundings in color from within the headset, a key feature of this device we'll explore later. Nestled between these camera stacks is another stack that houses an infrared depth sensor and a noise-canceling microphone. On the bottom corners, you'll find 2 more spatial tracking cameras. These are pivotal for upper body tracking, allowing for torso, elbow, wrist, and hand tracking. A lot of this magic isn't yet available and will be unlocked in a future update, along with an algorithm to guess your leg position for simulated full body tracking. Alongside the bottom edge are an IPD adjustment wheel, a volume rocker, and a 3-pin pogo receiver for a charging dock and the voice microphone. On the left side is a dedicated power button and a indicator LED. The headset connects to the head strap via 2 hinge arms, which allow for tilt adjustments. The left hinge includes a USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the right hinge houses a 3.5mm headphone jack. Each arm integrates speakers, which deliver surprisingly good 3D spatial audio. While they sound good, I feel most users will default to headphones or earbuds for the most immersive experience. Wired options are vital because Bluetooth connections suffer from a pretty large audio delay. Atop the headset is a bar to secure the head strap via a Velcro loop. This strap splits into a Y shape in the back, which you can pull apart to tighten or push together to loosen the head bar's horizontal grip on your head. The Quest 3 weighs in at 461 grams without the head strap, 520 grams with, and is obviously front heavy. That said, I've worn it through intense gaming sessions and in 6 to 8 hour stationary work sprints without any neck strain or discomfort. There's admittedly a bit of weight resting on your cheekbones and pressure on your forehead. An aftermarket head strap will provide better weight balance and comfort, but the default strap is by no means uncomfortable. Inside is a cushioned face pad. It's depth adjustable for glasses wearers and easily removable for cleaning or replacement, a necessity given its ability to absorb dirt and sweat. It snaps into the plastic lens housing that embeds a light sensor to detect when the headset is on your face, and the infamous pancake lenses. These lenses have fueled the hype train for the Quest 3, and justifiably so. They not only help reduce the headset's thickness to 2 inches or just under 4 inches with the face pad installed, but they also deliver a sharper image with a larger sweet spot and minimal distortion. Custom inserts with prescriptions can be snapped in front. Behind the lenses lie 2 LCD displays with a resolution of 2064 by 2208 pixels per eye. Meta touts this as a 4K infinite display, but to manage expectations, it's not as sharp as a traditional 4K display. The pixels per degree are less than half, at 25 pixels per degree, of what's needed for a flawless image. The screens are close to your eyes and amplified by lenses, so you can see individual pixels, and there's a bit of a screen door effect. The displays can run up to 120 Hz. Virtual reality check, it's unlikely that quality standalone experiences are capable of running at a 4K resolution on a mobile chipset, and definitely not at 120 frames per second. The field of view is impressive at 110 degrees horizontally and 96 degrees vertically. It doesn't cover the full FOV of the human eye, but it's immersive enough that you'll forget about the binocular effect once you're engrossed in the virtual world. Similar to how you don't typically notice objects in your peripherals when you're focused on a task directly in front of you. The screens are bright and colorful, though the LCD nature means blacks have a backlight glow about them. The face pad does an excellent job at blocking out external light, which allows the screen's vibrancy to shine. The lenses smudge easily from my forehead or fingers when slipping in and out of the headset, so keeping a microfiber cloth handy is a must. Powering the Quest 3 is a Snapdragon XR2 SoC, a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, and Adreno 740 GPU with 8GB of RAM. And I have to admit, the performance that can be generated in such a small form factor genuinely excites me for the advancement in wearable tech and mobile graphics rendering. Considering these specs, with 6 cameras, a depth sensor, dual screens, pancake lenses, and 2 tracking controllers, all packed into a wireless mobile form factor, the Quest 3's price point is shockingly competitive to a degree it feels like they could be selling at cost or a loss. The Quest 3 comes in two models, 120 gigabytes priced at $499.99 and 512 gigabytes priced at $649.99 USD. Out of the box, the operating system consumes 18 gigabytes and leaves you with under 110 gigs of usable space on the 128 gigabyte model if you remove the pre-installed apps. Most current games and experiences range from 500 megabytes to 12 gigabytes. I was originally of the mindset that 120 gigabytes would suffice for most solo users with fast internet connections, as it's easy enough to delete games and reinstall, while the 512 gigabyte model seemed ideal for families that need multiple profiles, serious gamers, or content creators that need space for recording their gameplay. But here's the catch. All of these experiences were developed around the Quest 2's capabilities, and the Quest 3 is capable of much more. We can already see the storage creep with the new Assassin's Creed Nexus that's over 17 gigabytes, and Asgard's Wrath 2, which is expected to exceed 25 gigabytes. While the extra storage might not seem worth an additional $150, it might be a practical choice that future-proofs your headset, as its clear apps are going to continue to increase in size. It's puzzling why Meta didn't opt for a 256 gigabyte base model. I chose the 128 gigabyte version, anticipating I won't use most of the standalone experiences after the initial novelty wears off, and will be tethered to my PC 90% plus of the time afterward. But as standalone titles evolve, it's obvious I'm going to hit a ceiling of only 3 asset-rich games installed at a time. Also, let's not forget the not-so-hidden costs. The true price of owning a Quest 3 goes beyond its MSRP once you consider the extras, like a comfortable head strap, battery pack, link cable or router for PC VR, headphones, active straps for the controllers, prescription inserts for glasses wearers, and eventual facepad replacements. These accessories, while optional, significantly enhance the experience. On top of that, while free apps do exist, most range from $10 to $50 or have a subscription model baked into the app. I spent over $175 to get the essential and most popular standalone experiences just to complete this review, and that was with 25% referral coupons. I'll include links to all the apps featured in this video in the description below so that you can also save 25% on each of your purchases. And that cost doesn't include my separate PC VR purchases. So expect to pad at least $250 to your purchase price to have the complete experience. The Quest 3's battery is just over 19 watt hours or 4,800 milliamp hours, and like smartphone batteries, its session time will vary based on the intensity of the apps that you're running. In my experience, in standalone mode with Wi-Fi on, the battery lasts just under 2 hours for lighter activities like meditation apps, web browsing, and media management. For gaming, it dips to about 1 to 1.5 hours, and even shorter for mixed reality experiences. Playing the new Assassin's Creed, I barely squeeze out an hour of playtime. For intense games, the limited battery life might be a blessing in disguise, forcing you to take breaks from the headset, baking your eyeballs with heat from the sock and light from the screens. But generally speaking, it's not enough and feels like a significant limitation of the device, even for casual use. In virtual workspace apps like immersive VR or media watching apps like Big Screen, the battery drains in about an hour, which is far from ideal. You'll want to invest in a head strap that has a battery pack attachment. Meta's Elite head strap felt overpriced, so I went with the Bobo VR M3 Pro, which includes a battery for only $45. It doubles my session time and is way more comfortable and provides a better weight balance than the default cloth head strap included with the Quest 3. I'll drop a link in the description and pinned comment below for those interested in picking up one. Of course, you can also just stick a power bank in your pocket or spark a new age VR fashion trend and bring fanny packs back. For stationary experiences, it's easy to plug in for extended sessions. I've managed full 8-hour workdays in immersive VR over Wi-Fi plugged into a fast charger, and it's by far the most impressive use case of the headset so far. The Quest 3 takes around 1 hour and 45 minutes to charge from empty to full on a 65 watt fast charger. For me, it maxes out at 23 watts when the device is not active and much less when it's active, I presume due to heat management. Meta has included battery optimization features allowing you to dial down your performance and refresh rates to extend your session. But let's be real, you don't buy a next-gen headset to compromise on graphics. If you're interested in battery life and the best battery solutions, let me know in the comments below. If there's enough interest, I'll buy a bunch of them and dedicate a video to comparing them. The user interface of the Quest 3 strikes a balance between simplistic and futuristic. It's simpler to use than a smartphone. The primary toolbar and menu interaction is your first taste of mixed reality magic. It appears as a 2D flat plane floating in your 3D space. You can effortlessly move it around and walk around it. You can extend it out to 3 windows to hold a browser, the app library, and a settings screen akin to a triple monitor setup. out. Toggling the distance view mode transforms it into a band of screens that wrap around you. If you wander into another room or end up behind it, you can simply press the meta button on your right controller to spawn it in front of you, and it can be accessed in pass-through mode or virtual home from within any app or even mid-game, allowing you to tweak your settings, quickly Google something, chat with friends, or manage media on the fly. The UI, despite its initial wow factor, stumbles with the absence of basic quality of life features, which makes it feel dated and clunky. There's no dedicated app library, so you're left with a list of all installed items, including system functions organized by recent use. The absence of sorting, filtering, or grouping means you either scroll endlessly or use the search function, which feels archaic in the context of a virtual reality headset. The Quest Store also misses the mark on user experience. Want to find all the mixed reality experiences to take advantage of that one feature heavily promoted by Meta? Well, you can't filter by experience type, so you must scroll and hunt for the MR badge manually. The Meta Quest Touch Plus controllers are a prime example of an intuitive design, featuring an analog joystick, 2 play buttons, and a menu on the faceplate, all within easy reach of your thumbs. The handle houses a trigger button for your index finger and a grip trigger on the inside, both positioned where your hands naturally rest. The ergonomic design is spot on, offering a comfortable and natural feel, even for someone like me who dislikes the way typical gaming controllers feel in the hand. Powered by a single AA battery, they are light and include wrist straps for safety. I think this is where another third-party accessory is warranted, active straps that hug your hand to the controller so that you don't have to hold on constantly. The Quest 3's tracking capabilities defied my expectations with its accuracy and responsiveness, especially considering the compact array of only 4 cameras aligned towards the bottom of the headset. When in VR, the controllers become an extension of your hands and feel as if they're mirroring your movements in real time, which isn't new tech by any means. The generated pointers to interact with objects are accurate. Even during high-fidelity scenarios that demand heavy processing, the tracking remains buttery smooth. The visual representation of the controllers adds a layer of immersion and realism that really ground the experience. However, when you shift to pass-through mode, the illusion slightly falters. Here you can spot latency between your real movements and their virtual counterparts. The delay becomes visible as the controllers struggle to keep pace, revealing the fine line between virtual precision and real-world latency. Controller tracking works through a constellation of infrared LEDs and a specific pattern on the faceplate, which are tracked by the cameras. This setup generally works well, except in scenarios where the LEDs are obscured from the cameras. Think high above your head, down at your sides, or if you turn the controllers away from the cameras. This is where clever prediction algorithms and hand tracking come into play. Hand tracking allows for the controllers to be tracked in occluded situations by using your hand positions as a backup. Where this technology gets next level is that you can set down the controllers and only use your hands to interact with menus and apps. Your hands can be used as pointers, much like the controllers, and you can use gestures to interact with elements. For example, pinching your index finger and thumb together is typically used to execute a trigger press as it provides tactile feedback. You can literally reach out and pinch virtual objects to move them around, and this integration gets cooler still, as it can track individual movements of all your fingers, allowing you to sign and make full hand gestures. The inclusion of depth tracking allows you to press virtual buttons, where the lack of tactile feedback is supplemented with a visual cue and a sound, which is more than enough to convince your brain that you've touched something. This degree of tracking enables you to type using a virtual keyboard, and it works surprisingly well. My level of enthusiasm of this feature feels goofy, but more so it feels incredible to be able to navigate menus by pressing virtual buttons and pinching virtual objects to move them around. Of course, there are flaws. There are moments when my hands seem to get lost, especially when working in VR and looking up at a virtual screen, presumably because the cameras can no longer fully account for my hands' positioning, which results in a tracking error message or flicking of the virtual hands in front of my eyes. Additionally, the hand tracking isn't very precise with gestures or predicting my intent, and will misinterpret natural resting hand posture as intentional gestures, leading to unintended interactions with elements. It also doesn't seem to do well with top-down depth of a finger moving up and down vertically, presumably because not all finger positions can be seen from the camera's perspective. Another hiccup arises in mixed reality, where your physical hands always appear behind virtual objects. If you reach out to interact with something in MR, your hand disappears behind it, momentarily breaking the immersion and causing a disconnect between your brain and the virtual world. A virtual render of your hands is supplemented in most cases. Spatial tracking is another impressive feat of the Quest 3 array. With 6 degrees of freedom, it captures both rotational head movements and translational body movements within your space. The headset can automatically scan your surroundings in real time to create a guardian boundary, a virtual barrier to keep you from extending out of bounds in the real and potentially hurting yourself. It can detect the floor, objects within, and wall. To map an area, you simply look or walk around your space. Once completed, you can make edits to block off spaces you don't want to accidentally wander into, or correct areas where it's scanned incorrectly. The Quest 3 keeps track of this boundary and your position within it. When you're in VR and cross this boundary, a grid wall appears to warn you, and the area you're sticking out from turns red. If you cross fully through the barriers, the pass-through cameras are activated so you can see your real surroundings. Mixed reality takes big advantage of this room mapping feature, which we'll dive into in a second. As I cross the 45-day barrier with the Quest 3, it strikes me as a jack of all trades. It's versatile, tackling a diverse range of use cases with a level of competence, and doesn't seem to excel in any one of them. This trait gives it a unique position as the perfect entry-level VR headset, as it offers a broad but balanced experience. During this month of testing, I've experimented across various use cases: mixed reality, productivity, social, leisure, and gaming. If you found value in this video so far, hit the like button below so that more people can see it. First up is mixed reality, and it was clear from my first encounters that these realities mix about as well as oil and water. The technology underpinning mixed reality is genuinely impressive, most notably how spatial tracking magic maps your environment to create a virtual mesh of your surroundings in real time. Yet, the novelty fades quickly, and you realize mixed reality, like the Quest 3's full body tracking, has got no legs. The overemphasis of mixed reality in Meta's marketing makes the lack of substantial content even more jarring. It feels like we're left with more of a promise than a reality. If MR is your main draw to the Quest 3, you may want to hold off until the ecosystem matures or Meta releases an emulsion blender. Take First Encounters, the flagship mixed reality game pre-installed on the Quest 3. It's a neat experience that uses your ceiling to drop a spaceship into your play area and spawns multiple waves of fluffy ball monsters hungry for your ankles that burst through your walls. Your objective is to capture as many as you can to get the highest score possible within the allotted time frame. In doing so, you can also break the walls to peer out into the virtual world. The virtual part of the game is vibrant and engaging, but it's let down by the pass-through camera's low resolution and poor light handling, which leads to a fuzzy and underwhelming representation of your real-world surroundings, and far from the crisp visuals showcased in Meta's marketing. The cameras, which are apparently 16 megapixels, bend down to 4 megapixels, have tiny sensors that struggle to get in adequate light in most environments. Pass-through mode, which can be activated at any time with a double tap on the headset, allows you to exit a virtual experience. The quality is about passable for quick practical uses like grabbing a drink from the fridge without having to take your headset off, but falls short of being genuinely useful for interactive MR experiences. I think if you were to wear this to an optometrist and run the Snellen eye test, you'd be pronounced legally blind. If you're interested in a deeper dive into the camera quality, I've made a video to help set expectations around the experience to combat Meta's unrealistic marketing. Now back to the balls of fluff trying to bite your ankles. After the timer runs out, the game is over, and that's it. There's no replayability, as the gameplay loop genuinely is not fun. The experience lies solely within its novelty. The only replay value that I found is when friends or family who've never seen it before come over and you'd like to share that novel experience. And I've not had a single person express the urge to play it a second time. The bottom line is that it's essentially a tech demo that showcases the ability to break planes of a cube in mixed reality. Naturally, you head to the Quest store to see what else exists, only to discover another sore point. Not only can you not filter by mixed reality experiences, but the store is nearly void of them. Apps like Piano Vision, where you mimic playing a piano to Guitar Hero-esque notes, are conceptually brilliant. However, the limitations of hand tracking causes the experience to fall short by resulting in missed notes and erroneous hits. While it can be made functional by connecting a physical MIDI controller to your PC, this workaround defeats the purpose of a mixed reality experience, especially considering you can download melodics on your PC and get real learning material and look slightly up at the screen. Tabletop games and puzzles emerge as the only viable MR experiences, but also start to toe the line between AR and MR. Demio, a tabletop role-playing game, is a primary example of an experience that utilizes what little value can be squeezed from mixed reality in its current state. You can place the game on top of a physical surface and move around it, creating an immersive play area right in your living room. It can also be anchored in space for local multiplayer experiences. Despite the spatial tracking potential, the automated guardian system of the Quest 3 lacks object recognition. Instead, you can manually draw virtual boundaries to block out furniture like coffee tables, couches, desks, etc., and apps can utilize those to place decor on top of or collide with to provide an immersive ambience. Demio takes advantage of this by placing candles on top of objects and theme posters on your walls. Meta's marketing of more interactive mixed reality experiences, called augments, haven't yet been released. I found some apps that have already explored this concept by allowing you to place trophies and other objects around your play space. While it looks cool, the real-world application feels limited. Why place a virtual poster on the wall to interact with to join a game when you can access everything directly on a menu in front of you? And why do you need a virtual screen to scroll Instagram reels when we can just use our phones? The future of mixed reality on the Quest 3 feels uncertain. It's evident that this feature isn't quite consumer ready, so why is it here? Unless Meta has a card up their sleeve with this incoming augments update, my paranoid skepticism suggests they're relying on our camera data to run through AI in order to push forward. The potential and unfortunate trajectory I see in our world, where user data is a valuable commodity, is the integration of ads into our personal spaces. My guess is they're collecting maps of the inside of our homes to train through AI to both inspire their next line of smart home or virtual products, and so they can better detect objects in real time. Where I see this ultimately ending is an empty candle on your tabletop and a pointer over it asking you to purchase a refill. Or maybe it notices an empty corner in your house and will occupy that space with an ad for best houseplants. If you're a tech enthusiast or an MR developer, the potential of the Quest 3's mixed reality features probably excite you, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun. However, for the average consumer, the current state of the Quest 3 just isn't fleshed out enough, and I fear you're going to run out of things to do after the novelty wears off and you've tried everything for the first time. I was intrigued by the Quest 3's potential for productivity through the use of virtual screens, both tethered to my PC and wirelessly working anywhere from my home. The Quest Pro was marketed as a productivity machine for $1,500, and the Quest 3 has the same optics, better pass-through quality, hand tracking, and hardware encoding. During my first month with the Quest 3, I embraced this new mode of work, having 5 virtual displays at my fingertips while turning my head to look out the window of a space station orbiting Earth, or looking down to see my keyboard and peripherals in the real is beyond awesome. The experience has been surprisingly usable, and I've had a lot of fun experimenting and setting up the perfect workspace. I found myself able to complete lengthy work sprints from a virtual office without any major hurdles or discomfort. The social aspect in multiplayer lobbies adds a level of selective co-working by allowing for casual interactions and focused group work sessions. The vibe is very transient, and people seem to pop in for short sprints of 30 to 60 minutes and leave. As a reminder, the Quest 3 is a jack of all trades, and its approach to virtual productivity has limitations. For heavy PC or workstation users, it's simply not a perfect substitute for physical multi-monitor setups. The most notable challenge is the limited resolution of the LCD panel. Despite their 2.5K resolution, the effective resolution of virtual screens feels closer to 1080p. While higher resolution displays can be spawned, you'll find that they need to be scaled up or pulled within close proximity to be readable. You can see individual pixels in most cases, and it can be difficult to read lots of text through the diagonal screen door effect, which also causes aliasing on the edges of screens and UI elements. It strains my eyes quicker than traditional displays, so this could be attributed to the proximity of the screens to the eye, the level of brightness, and amplification by the lenses. The optics, while mostly clear, exhibit a halo effect at the periphery, which also impacts readability. There are many virtual desktop applications that can display virtual screen, but Meta Workrooms and Immersed VR stand out as the multi-display productivity apps. I found that the Meta Workrooms experience is more restrictive, at up to 3 fixed resolution screens that can't be moved, while Immersed VR provides a more flexible and individualized setup with support for higher resolutions and up to 5 displays that can be positioned however you please. Immersed VR feels more tailored to individual use, but still supports all the collaborative enterprise features that Workrooms seems to specialize in. I'm able to set up portals to see through the virtual world to the real. I've been putting one off to the side where I set my drinks, and the keyboard pass-through window to see my keyboard and peripherals. I chose the standalone Quest 3 over a tethered solution like Big Screen due to the similar resolution, lower price, higher refresh rate, and ability to go wireless. But for this use case, the extra weight and the heat generated from the onboard SoC make it less ideal for prolonged productivity use. Ultimately, neither's resolution is sufficient for them to serve as a permanent solution for daily work, especially for those of us accustomed to higher resolution displays. Immersed is actually creating their own headset, the Visor, with a 4K resolution OLED panel per eye. I'm excited to see whether that's going to be enough and have placed a pre-order. For those of you interested in this evolving space of MR XR headsets, I'll be trying to get my hands on as many as possible. I've got the X-Real Air 2 Pros in hand now, so subscribe below if you're interested in future reviews. Exploring the social potential of the Quest 3 led me to some unexpected letdown. Meta's persistent promotion of transformative social experiences set expectations for bustling virtual lobbies and engaging shared experiences. However, the reality of Meta Horizons fell short. They've built a virtual ghost town, tiny, unpopulated lobbies frequented only by curious VR newcomers or children. This sense of emptiness extends to most third-party social spaces too, even on the Quest 3's launch day, where I envision there being an influx of new users to interact with. A significant limiter of social experiences is the Quest 3's microphone quality. The audio quality is terrible, and the popping from air pushing into the sensor is unbearable to listen to. It diminishes my desire to communicate, as I don't want to inflict that pain onto any other users in the virtual world. So there's yet another add-on that you need to buy in order to have a baseline experience on the the platform. There's a notable exception to these desolate social scenes, and that is VR chat. As a veteran in the VR social space, VR chat hosts more populated lobbies. However, I'd still argue that most lobbies are empty, with only a handful of instances sporting 10+ users where most of them feel AFK and are seemingly dominated by a younger crowd. It's reminiscent of AOL teen chat rooms from my childhood. While it's great to see a younger generation engaging in this awesome medium, the platform lacks a dedicated adult-centric environment. Most of my interactions with adults have been through the immersed VR experience during work hours. I've recently discovered niche sub-communities that cater to more mature audiences where virtual events are organized through Discord. The virtual club scene is one example that I've experimented with through Tube VR and Ghost. I'll put both on screen here for you to check out. These clubs offer live DJ sets and virtual lobbies where users can enjoy music and socialize, and in some instances are meshed with IRL events. However, the Quest 3 struggled quite a bit in these high traffic environments in standalone mode. I was running anywhere from 15 to 30 FPS max through the full 2 to 3 hours I was present, with only like 15 people rendered in my view at a time. Next event, I'll try jacking into PC VR to see how much of a performance improvement there is. My experience hints at a rich potential for socializing in VR, waiting to be fully tapped into by those willing to explore or create communities. But at the surface level, it's completely empty. The Quest 3 excels in catering to a diverse audience through the sheer number of leisurely activities available. From watching movies to meditating and exercising to solving puzzles and browsing the web, there are nearly an infinite number of things to do. And if you can't find something, you can literally download apps to create your own virtual reality experiences. Media consumption is the standout feature in my opinion. Watching your favorite movies or YouTuber on a colossal screen defies reality and feels incredible. It's the one area where the limitations of the resolution, screen door effect, and ability to see individual pixels don't detract from the experience. Virtual screens appear surprisingly crisp and clear and provide an unparalleled cinematic experience. However, the Quest 3 just can't avoid faults in any category, and here the catch is lens glare. When viewing high contrast scenarios, the most basic example being white text on a black background, the lenses suffer from a distracting glare that also lights up the back of the lenses to make it look like you're looking through smudged glasses. It taints an otherwise immersive experience as so many movies implement high contrast scenes. There's support for native apps like YouTube, Amazon Prime, Netflix, Peacock, and more, which offer standard functionality and unique virtual environment. But the real experience lies in third-party applications. Big Screen, a free app, offers an easy entry into virtual media consumption and natively integrates some streaming services like YouTube, Disney+, Twitch, and Pluto with a focus on multiplayer lobbies with seats for communal viewing. However, its beta status is evident. It often fails to load media, sticks me under the floor, or crashes. Skybox, a $10 app, swaps the broken multiplayer experience for a premium media-centric experience. It lacks direct streaming service integrations, but you can load them up all the same and stream from a remote PC connection. And it can seamlessly stream content from your local Plex server. Both apps allow for you to customize your viewing environment, from cozy living rooms to grand IMAX scale theaters, support 3D content, and enhance immersion with the use of spatial audio and dynamic screen lighting that fills your virtual environment. You can center the screen to your viewing angle, meaning you can lay down fully in bed and look up at the ceiling to watch a movie. Mixed reality media is a narrative Meta has run with after a trend of users posted themselves on social media networks watching YouTube while doing the dishes. While it's possible, the reality is not as appealing as everyone makes it out to be. Media apps don't support mixed reality modes, so you need to dock either a browser or an app to the Meta UI panel. There are many issues with this approach. There's no way to anchor this panel to your degrees of freedom, so it's stuck in space and you have to carry it around if you wish to move. Piling further, it gets hot, especially when you're exerting energy and heat when doing chores. It's simply impractical for anything beyond stationary activities like packing e-commerce orders. Beyond media, the Quest 3 offers a canvas for creativity. Apps like Gravity Sketch and OpenBrush, the successor to Google's Tilt Brush, allow you to paint, draw, and model in 3D space, in both virtual reality and mixed reality. The speed and scale at which you can build things is mind-bendingly cool, and it does a great job at demonstrating the vast potential of virtual creativity. Meditation and relaxation apps are a dime a dozen and typically boil down to the same experience, which is admittedly quite nice, offering relaxation or guided virtual flights through stunning landscapes or tunnels of moving geometric patterns, or calming activities you can participate in to wind down before bed. If you want to burn a few calories, the Quest 3 offers an array of workout apps. Whether smashing virtual rocks, boxing, or following guided workout intervals, there's plenty to keep you active. I'd suggest buying active controller straps for this use case and taking it slow to give your neck time to acclimate to the weight of the headset. Gaming on the Quest 3 is available in two modes: standalone, where games are run entirely within the headset, and PC VR, which leverages the power of a PC to render the game and stream the video to the headset in real time. Engineered with a mobile-first approach, the Quest 3's primary function is as a standalone gaming console. As of this review, it seems to be the only standalone HMD from which the graphics are just good enough where I feel most users won't feel like they need a high-end PC to enjoy the experience, though it does still require some tinkering to get the best experience. While the visuals may not astound with ultra-realism, they're more than sufficient to immerse you in captivating virtual worlds. Unfortunately, there weren't many new games coupled with the Quest 3's launch, which was a bit disappointing. That said, games like the newly released Assassin's Creed Nexus showcase impressive mobile VR graphics. There's a clear difference in level of detail, rendering distance, and lighting over the Quest 2, and it doesn't seem like it has been fully optimized yet for the Quest 3. The extensive library of existing games from the Quest 2 era should have an inherent boost to clarity and sharpness from the upgraded optical stack of the Quest 3, along with a slight bump in resolution, though many titles still need to push updates and optimizations to take advantage of the new hardware. You can Google to find a list of games that have been updated for the Quest 3. It's no surprise that games with high fidelity graphics would struggle to render in nearly 4K at even 30 to 45 FPS, but the resolution of the Quest 3 still felt lower than expectations set by the paper specs. As it turns out, the default render resolution in standalone mode is 20% lower than the LCD panels themselves, and there's a lot of illusions dancing behind the scenes to compensate to make the experience feel like a smooth one. In order to fully unlock the potential of standalone games, you'll need to manually tweak settings or buy a $10 app called the Games Optimizer to super sample the resolution, manually set your FPS, and overclock the CPU or GPU, all of which come at the offset of a faster battery drain, which isn't great to begin with. I didn't want this video to become a review of each of the individual games I tried, so I will condense my entire standalone gaming experience. The good: many of the VR mechanics are truly immersive and engaging. Though these aren't unique to the Quest 3, the Quest 3 undoubtedly handles them better. It's capable of handling realistic physics, which are convincing. Objects in your hands can collide with the world and NPCs, and the force of actions can be determined by the acceleration of your controllers. Intricate actions like inventory management, opening and drinking consumables, casting spells, and throwing objects all feel and look authentic. Gunplay mechanics like reloading a magazine and stabilizing a weapon with both hands, and weapon mechanics like holding a bow and drawing an arrow are all remarkably immersive. The game library is diverse. There's a wide range of games catering to various interests and age groups. From high-octane FPS shooters and RPGs to puzzles and sports, there's something for everyone. The graphics are satisfactory. While they aren't on par with high-end PC VR, they are good enough to support immersive gameplay. The magic behind the scenes to project rendered scenes feels smooth, and there's not a lot of glitching. There are enough multiplayer experiences, and since most lobbies are limited in slots, fill times are quick, which makes the ecosystem feel populated. The bad: mechanics are fairly inconsistent, and newer mechanics like parkour in Assassin's Creed often malfunction, which leads to more frustration than enjoyment. Hand-to-hand combat can feel awkward. I'll go as far as to say janky, especially in games with enabled weapon and body physics. The controllers often lose tracking during intense actions, which is particularly noticeable in combat scenarios. A significant number of games rely heavily on their novelty factor, lacking a compelling gameplay loop that encourages repeated play. And many of the mixed reality experiences, as I discussed earlier, feel underdeveloped and are riddled with bugs or fall into the previous novelty category. And the ugly: the wireless connectivity seems to contribute to noticeable latency in multiplayer games, as all parties are wireless. The latency is high enough in many cases to where it affects the gameplay quality. The visual fidelity of most standalone experiences suffer from cartoony, low-fidelity graphics and low frame rates. I think it's good enough for most casual users, especially if one can find experiences that tickle their fancy. But for anyone seeking high-quality experiences, connecting the Quest 3 to a capable PC elevates the experience to an entire new level. The richness and realism offered by PC VR highlights the future potential of virtual reality, as a PC can render much more intricate scenes at higher frames per second and at resolutions above native resolution for sharper visuals. On top of the more realistic graphics, you can access a library of experiences unique to PC VR, including the infamous Half-Life Alyx, and also non-VR games like Skyrim, Fallout, and Cyberpunk, which have VR-ready mods. Half-Life Alyx, which lived up to the hype as a VR experience and looked fantastic on the Quest 3, demonstrates the stark contrast between standalone and PC VR. It's nearly a 4-year-old title at the time of this review, and it's clear that mobile graphics are going to need another 5+ years to catch up to this level of fidelity. Sim racing is a scenario I've dreamed of since I was young, home playing pole position on the Atari 7800, and VR might be what pushes me over the edge to building a dedicated sim racing rig. It's really that fun. PC VR games can be streamed both wired and wirelessly. Since the Quest 3 doesn't support direct display input, games are rendered by the PC and pushed through to the headset as a compressed video stream. And this compression is noticeable, especially when looking into the distance where the level of detail falls off as the compression takes over large areas. I've tried Quest Link Virtual Desktop and the newly released Steam Link and have streamed wirelessly for most of my testing from a dedicated router, and the latency is not perceptible. While I intended to be tethered to my PC a majority of the time for the best quality experiences, I still wanted the flexibility of going wireless, or fully standalone when I want to wander about, travel, or lay in bed. And the Quest 3 offers all of that with arguably one of the best optical experiences currently on the market. Now, the age-old question, is it worth it? To recap, the Quest 3 is a jack of all trades, capable of catering to a broad spectrum of VR experiences. Its versatility and range is incredible, but this lack of specialization left me questioning who the device was intended for. As a tech enthusiast that has been lurking at the edge of VR for years, a lot of the experiences I had truly tickled that perspective chunk in my brain that few substances can reach, and did so at a level of visual quality that felt satisfactory in standalone mode. Generally, the Quest 3 feels like a perfect jumping in point to virtual reality, and with PC VR compatibility offers both a confirmation of VR's current standing and a glimpse into its future potential. But as a futurist with lofty expectations, the Quest 3 left me feeling like I'm still an early adopter of VR, even though this is a third-generation consumer device of a 10-year movement. VR veterans are raving about the new pancake lenses, and while they mark a significant improvement over the Quest 2, it feels like we're still leaps away from a flawless viewing experience for daily integrations that actually move the needle in our lives. And I fear I may have crossed that threshold to where I won't ever get to experience the virtual reality that I long for. Existential crisis accepted, let's break down whether the Quest 3 is worth it, both objectively and subjectively. Objectively, the Quest 3's price to performance ratio is astonishing. For only $500, the array of included features, from the amount of hardware and the pristinely engineered mobile form factor to the software ecosystem, suggests that Meta is selling at a loss. An independent supply chain analyst and a tech enthusiast came to the same conclusion and estimated that the Quest 3's production cost hovers around $430, which doesn't account for R&D, software, shipping, or other indirect costs, and suggests they're subsidized around $200. But for the consumer, the true cost of a Quest 3 extends beyond MSRP due to all the accessories, add-ons, and apps necessary for what should be the baseline experience. You may have noticed a pattern in this review, and that is that every turn there's an additional purchase needed to unlock the device's full potential. I'd expect to pad your purchase price by $250. Subjectively, if your interest spans across multiple VR use cases, be it any combination of gaming, productivity, mixed reality, creativity, leisure, or media consumption, then it's a no-brainer. The Quest 3 is the best bang for your buck headset on the market, and that doesn't seem like it's going to change for a long time. I fall into this category as a tech enthusiast, and will add to that it feels like the perfect entry-level VR headset, as you get to experience everything the VR ecosystem currently has to offer with one of the best visual experiences available, which to me is like the most important piece of the VR puzzle. If you're specifically interested in mixed reality, I'd suggest holding off. The current offerings simply don't match the hype or marketing surrounding the headset's capabilities. There's very few apps or games that utilize mixed reality, and I'd argue that none of them do it effectively. It's purely a novel experience, and I'd wait for future developments to see if Meta's augments bring anything real to the table, or if another developer releases something worthwhile. If you're eyeing the Quest 3 primarily for productivity and virtual screens, then it's not worth it unless you've set proper expectations or are combining it with another use case on this list. The experience is awesome and immersive, but the headset's limited resolution simply can't replace a multi-screen workstation. Plus, it's too bulky and generates too much heat for the low resolution experience offered. And the closeness and brightness of the screens will strain your eyes in half the time as regular displays. I'm not sure there's any alternative on the market that could fare better, as the resolution seems to be the primary limiting factor for me. I've benched this use case and am holding out for the immersed visor, which has a 4K OLED per eye. For gamers and social butterflies, the Quest 3 is nearly perfect and is totally worth it. It's by far the best bang for your buck, especially for PC VR experiences. It's a playground worth exploring, and the visuals are better than I expected based on previous VR headsets. For standalone, just remember to buy the Games Optimizer app for the best experience. For media consumption, while awesome cinematic experiences can be spawned, it gets a little tossy. If you can mix and match with any of the other Quest 3's use cases, then it's surely worth it, as watching movies is a great second secondary use case. However, if it's your only use case, then something lighter that generates less heat, like X-Real Air glasses or any tethered HMD with OLED screens to get those deep blacks, is probably a better bet. Otherwise, a TV or phone is still perfectly viable. For budget-conscious consumers, I suggest waiting for a future generation. While I'm glad I finally took the dive, I believe it only worked out for me because I'm a tech enthusiast that couldn't hold my curiosity in any longer. The Quest 3 still feels like a luxury early adopter gadget and probably isn't the best investment at this time. If you take a step back and look around, the level of adoption is increasing rapidly, and it feels like another company is announcing a wearable headset nearly every quarter. And the VR landscape will likely evolve even more rapidly as 4K micro OLED screens are more easily mass-produced and get cheaper. If you're interested in seeing more VR and AR headsets, subscribe below for future reviews, as I'm planning to test as many as I can get my grubby little hands on. And for a deeper dive into the Quest 3's pass-through camera quality, check out my video here.